Now let's analyze the development under the Buhari administration with an economist with SPM professionals. Mr. Paul Alaje joins us live from our studios in Abuja. A pleasure having you with us, Mr. Alaje.
Thank you for having me.
What's your assessment of the present administration in the last 5 years?
Thank you once again. My assessment of the present administration in the last 5 years is what I will call the good, the bad, the ugly. I think government have done really well in terms of output of rice production. It has increased production from what we had in 2015 of about 3.9 million metric tons to about 4.9 million metric tons. And government has also moved Nigeria away from 169 out of 189 countries when it comes to ease of doing business to a new level of 131 now out of 190 countries. Again, you look at issue of minimum wage. Government have passed and signed to law minimum wage from 18,000 to 30,000. There is Empower program. There is there is border closure to support local farmers. There is infrastructural development, Anchor Borrowers program, just to mention a little. But what are the things that I think are not good enough for Nigeria? Number one, debt profile. The debt profile in 2015 was $63 billion, which was equivalent of 12 trillion naira. Today, as at the last figure released by the Debt Management Office on the website www.dmo.gov.ng, it's as at the last report, 84 billion US dollars, equivalent of 27 trillion naira, which is more than times 2 of what it was. Inflation in 2015, in May 2015 was 9%. Today is 12.3%. We also have unemployment rate at 8.2% in Q2. Today is 23.1%. We have exchange rate 196 official rate. Now it is 360 official rate. GDP growth was 2.32%. Today, Q1 is 1.87%. We have, and so many other things. Now, what I will call the ugly is yet to happen. We have never had any administration, either in first term or 2 terms, experience recession 2 times. I hope that the coming recession will not happen. And I'll be hopeful just the way Monetary Policy Committee was hopeful that Nigeria may not go into recession. But if we quickly consider, like many other countries have done, by reopening the economy, considering aviation, hospitality, industry, religious activity, education, and instructing contractors of government, those that are working on public capital expenditure, particularly construction, in power and so on, to go back to work so that we can induce the economy, we can boost the economy, so the slow growth that came down from above 2% to 1.87%, we may not necessarily go into recession. But a day delay will make us to go into months of possible recession.
Now, Mr. Alaje, another issue is that the administration has engaged more in borrowing than ever before, to the tune of 33 trillion naira in total. How positioned is the country to meet these obligations? If you can quickly tell us that.
Yeah, well, quickly, if we had the recently approved loan, it would be about 33 trillion naira. And I can tell you that it's unprecedented, and I can foresee that our service will be far more than 60% in the coming period. It's even projected that in the next 10 years, we may spend 75% of revenue to service debt. Is this sustainable? The answer is not. This is what we consider. I understand that some economists will say that our debt to GDP, in economics is necessary condition. What makes it sufficient condition is if our revenue service, our debt service to revenue is far beyond 60 kobo to 1 naira. That is, every 60 kobo, every 1 naira we generate, we spend approximately 60 kobo to service debt. That is not sustainable anywhere, because the opportunity cost of that 60 kobo is construction, road construction, education, health, and so on and so forth. So if Nigeria generates 1 trillion naira, what it means is that 1 trillion naira generated in revenue, we are going to have approximately 6 600 billion naira to service debt. Debt, domestic, and debt, of course, foreign debt. Those monies are things that have excluded federal government. But the most important one, however, is the rate of debt and economic growth. The rate of debt in the last 5 years have been 15%. That's the rate of borrowing. But economic growth has been, according to the last report we have, less than 2%, which means the money borrowed is not having impact. Because if it is, how come that with the borrowing and spending on infrastructure and so on, what we have had in terms of unemployment has not increased significantly. In fact, unemployment from what we have today has grown from 8.2% to 23.1%. And underemployment is even more than that. Youth unemployment is over 30% today. What it means is we've been borrowing, but on what exactly have we been spending the money? There are loopholes, there are leakages in expending some of the monies that we have borrowed, particularly for capital expenditure.
Economist Mr. Paul Alaje, a pleasure sharing your thoughts with us on the News at 10.
Thank you for having me.